Welcome everybody, we're back at it again. And on this video, we're going to be talking about the damage of every single one of the weapons in the game, all of their abilities, sustain damage, and if your weapon has any dots. We're also going to be covering that. We are going to be ranking them. Of course, I'm going to be talking throughout the video, but I don't want to make this any longer, so let's jump right into it. And here is the full breakdown of every single one of the abilities. There is two abilities that I forgot to put on this list. One is Path of Destiny, and the other one is going to be Motor Charge from the Blunderbuss. The Motor Charge deals about 2200 with every single one of the canister. You can throw all the way up to 4. And the Path of Destiny doesn't do that much damage. It's like 1500 to 2000. The problem was that I was not able to damage the dummy with Path of Destiny, and I forgot to test it with the player whenever I was testing Splitting Grenade. Oh, by the way, I noticed that you guys, or if you guys notice, we use Splitting Grenades with a player instead of with a dummy. And the reason behind it is because we cannot actually damage the dummy with a Splitting Grenade. But if you guys didn't know, if you get a level 65 player and you take every single one of their armor and you take every single one of their constitutions and they are basically naked, it will be essentially the same attributes and defenses as a dummy, and that's why we were able to test the effective damage of Splitting Grenades with a player. All right, the other thing on the video is show that Orb of Decay did not do this much damage that I show here in number 35 with 4250. The reason behind it is because the second explosion of Orb of Decay does not actually deals damage to the dummy, but I did the full breakdown. I did the math on how much damage the Orb of Decay should be doing with both explosion and the dot, and it came up to that damage. Anyways, make up your guys' own decisions and conclusions by looking at these numbers right here. Of course, some abilities are so much more stronger than others simply because they didn't make it like super high in the scoreboard. That doesn't mean that they're not powerful, right? Because if you see at the bottom half of the ability, most of them are CC and utility abilities. And if we look at number 76, which is Shield Bash, it is the lowest damaging ability in the game, but is considered to be the best stun in the entire game, right? So yes, while some of these abilities don't have a lot of damage, some of these abilities have crazy utility. Now, if we look at abilities like Skewer, for example, the Skewer is an ability that it deals an incredible amount of damage, and it also has a crazy freaking utility. The same with Splitting Grenades, it's just a little bit harder to connect, but you can use it in clumps. But all in all, this looks pretty good to me, pretty balanced to me. There's some abilities that deal a pretty consistent, significant damage, and they also have utility, but those are not very common. We also noted that the damage of the Fire Stab abilities, the base damage of these abilities are actually quite low. But most of the damage from these abilities, I wouldn't say most of it, but a big chunk of it, like 20, 30, 40%, actually comes from the burns. So something to take in consideration is if you were to build Vigor versus Fire Mages, you will be countering such a big chunk of their damage that without this type of video, we would have never taken in consideration. And I hope that this is what you guys take out of this video, right? It's not a video to see which weapon is the one that deals the most damage. It's how are these weapons actually doing the damage that they're doing. And to make up your own decisions and conclusion on which of these abilities should you be dodging, instead of just wasting your time preventing some abilities and wasting your whole stamina bar, dodging stuff that you should not be wasting your stamina. Some things are just better to get hit by it, while some other things are better to simply spend your stamina. Anyways, this is all the abilities. Right now, let's go ahead and jump into the sustained damage. And here we are with a full breakdown of the sustained damage. Of course, I don't think anybody's surprised about number 1 and number 2. What I am actually surprised is about number 3 and number 4. I never expected Void Blade light attacks combined with the dots to do so much damage. So whenever the Void Blade gets actually fixed, like the tracking and connecting, Void Blade is gonna be incredibly scary. As you guys down there see, Flamethrower, it's a number 8. Usually everybody says that Flamethrower deals the most damage out there. And as you can see, there's plenty things that out damage the Flamethrower. And this is not taking in consideration that you can do a lot of CC with other weapons, right? Like Spear didn't make it very high in the consistent damage, but we know the Spear is incredibly powerful with freaking, you know, Perforate, Leg Sweep, Skewered, Volk, like, you know, everything on the Spear is incredibly powerful to beat like the Flamethrower. But yeah, here it is. Another thing that I noticed is the musket having the least consistent damage in the entire game. This is probably one of the main reasons why we don't see it in PvE. Also, it doesn't have like that many AoE. But the thing about the musket is that it does not need a lot of consistent damage, because the musket has great utility with the traps, and it has a crazy burst by you rolling after a bullet, right? So you can shoot, roll, shoot together with the traps, the grenade, the power shot, the powder burn, right? So the musket does not need high sustained damage to be an incredibly powerful weapon. Another thing that it surprised me is look at the flail. The flail light attacks, incredibly powerful. Number 12 at 28,000 damage in 10 seconds. That is crazy to take in consideration, right? But anyways, here was the sustained damage, and now let's go ahead and jump into the dots, which is going to be the last segment. If you're still watching until this point, don't forget to hit us with a sub, a like, and just share the video. It means the world to me, and it helps us with the algorithm gods. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the dots. And that was it with the damage over time. As you guys can see right there, surprisingly, the Rapier Bleed deals the most damage of every single one of the dots in the game. Obviously, if you let them get to the top, obviously the Smolder, it's number 2. I'm not surprised. It's a very good burn. The main problem with it is that you need to stack it to 5 stacks, right? And stacking it to 5 times, it's not that easy. Like, if we compare what is easier, right? Smolder taking it to 5 stacks, or using 1 poison arrow in a clump, right? Poison arrow has a lot of range. You just use it there, it deals maximum damage without having to be on an enemy for 2.5 seconds, and that is not taken in consideration. They can dodge, they can CC you because you're just standing there. While the flamethrower deals a very good amount of damage, it does take time to build up. The same with the Rapier Bleed, right? And this is why these two are the ones that take it all the way to the top. Incredible, we have a skewer right there, number 3. Once again, an insane freaking bleed. Poison arrow, powder burn, rain of arrows down is going down, but it's still. And all of this right here can be beat with vigor, right? If you think that dots is something that counters your playstyle or something that you find too strong, go ahead and slap vigor in there. Just look at all of these weapons, right? By putting vigor, if you're fighting against a blunderbuss and you get hit by splitting grenade, you will counter thousands of damage. Versus bow, thousands of damage. Versus musket, thousands of damage. Versus fire staff, thousands of damage. Yes, boys, go ahead and consider other venues of protection other than just freaking health and enchanted water, right? Vigor and invigorated, 2 incredible STA perks that you should be using in Season 4 and the upcoming Season 5. I 100% recommend it for everybody. Now, if you're wondering how did we perform all of these tests, well, we performed this test at a 350 of each on one of the attributes for the weapons, meaning that all of the weapons that is scaled primarily with strength, they were 350 strength. All of the weapon that scales with dexterity, intelligence, they were at 350, except for the greatsword. The greatsword was the only weapon that had 175 strength and 175 dexterity, just because the greatsword is special. Also, every single one of the weapons had the same gear scored. And if you think that my numbers were not accurate, I actually challenge you to go ahead and do these tests yourself. And I guarantee you that our damage difference is going to be between a range of 1% to 3%. Maybe because of the gear score might be 1 or 2 higher. It's not going to be any significant difference. But anyway, that is the end of this video. This video took me an incredible long time to record, because every single one of the abilities I needed to, edit it. I needed to do the math for all the numbers, put them together. So I hope that you guys take in consideration how much effort and sacrifice I put into this video. A lot more YouTube content is coming. The only thing is that this YouTube video took so freaking long putting together. Other than that, remember that I stream every single day on Twitch. Please consider liking this video and subbing to the channel. Other than that, I'll see you guys in Eternum. Anyways, peace out, boys.